I've lost over $100,000.
Brutal night, the worst poker session Rampage has had in his career.
This may be my last chance to crawl out of the hole. I'm playing high stakes poker with some of Vegas's top poker pros and even get involved with poker legend Phil Ivey.
It looks like Phil's going to turn his hand into a bluff. This is nice.
With 2024 coming to a close, let's take a shot. I've literally wired all the cash I have in my bank account, and I'm ready to play some 100, 200 on live stream. But there's a twist. There's a variant in the game called Squid, and it makes the game completely nuts. Rounds of Squid start every hour. We play 9 hands every hour with this turned on, and each hand has an extra $500 button in the middle. At the end of the 9 hands, anyone without this button owes the rest of the table with the button $4,500. I'm going to gamble with all my money in my bank account, playing a game I hardly know. What could possibly go wrong? We're playing a pretty big live stream cash game here on the stage right behind me here. So we're gonna play 100, 200. I think it's gonna be a 30K min, and I've got over 100,000 to fire off. Very exciting time of the year, of the month, here in December right now for the WIN WPT World Championship. All these tables are packed for the Prime, and I'm gonna hop on the live stream pretty soon. So shout out to the production for always putting on a good show. We got over $100,000 gonna be on the table. Good luck to us. I buy in for $30,000 to start, and 30 minutes in, of course, the Squid game is on. So for the next 9 hands, we need to win, or else I owe the table $4,500. So there's a $400 straddle, hijack calls, cutoff calls, button calls, small blind calls. I call with Queen 7 offsuit in the big blind since I'm supposed to see a lot of hands. So we're gonna go 6 ways to a flop of King 7 2 spades. Action's gonna check to the cutoff, who throws out a bet of $1,000. Action folds to me, and I think a raise here for protection seems to make some sense, honestly. It would just be great to win the pot right now with a 7, but would hear some resistance if this opponent has me beat. I decided to raise it up to 4,000, then Berkey in the hijack suddenly wakes up and 3-bets me to 10,000. Oh god, man, was he really in the weeds the whole time with a king? He's known to be super aggressive with this Squid game on, and I just have no idea how crazy people are going to be to overplay their hands, and I'm just confused with the introduction of a brand new version of poker I'm not familiar with. So, only starting with $30,000, I just had to 4-bet jam my entire stack and say goodbye.
I'm going to play another 60K pot with a wildly dominating hand.
You have a spade?
No, no, shit.
Just go once.
Yeah. Just go once.
He's dead.
I'm dead.
He's actually drawing dead.
I'm
not
dead.
like I was fake drawing dead.
My months of playing low stakes just to lose 30,000 within minutes of sitting down is truly horrendous. Honestly, I wanted to leave immediately when this happened. I'm uncomfortable playing a new game I barely know the rules to, but I thought leaving within 30 minutes would be in poor taste, so
I added on 30.
a few minutes later, Berkey limps in for 200. A bunch of people limp, and I decide to raise it up to $3,000 on the button with Ace-Queen of Hearts. Finally, a premium hand that I can play normally and hopefully get this monkey off my back about this Squid game.
I like this from Rampage.
Berkey, who's been tearing at the table at this point, makes the call, and we've got some action. We're going to a flop of 10-10 deuce, 2 diamonds, and my opponent Berkey here leads out for $900. I find this to be super weird, but with my hand, I'm happy to make the call for this price in position, hoping to either improve or probably expect to have the best hand at some frequency. So we see a turn which is the 3 of spades. Berkey now puts in a check, putting the option on to me. Seems like with my hand, no option besides a check makes a lot of sense, but also got to understand that when I check here, Berkey will also realize that I might not have too strong of a hand and just bet massive on the river, but we're going to face that decision if it comes back to it. I check back with my ace-queen. I've got some showdown, and I think betting doesn't make a lot of sense. River now comes a 7 of spades, and let's see if Berkey... Yes! Oh my god, he does exactly what I was afraid of, but even worse.
Berkey ripping in the dark is strong.
Berkey's obviously very capable of bluffing against a capped opponent that I clearly am. I don't really have many strong hands as played, so this is the problem. And maybe he could be taking advantage of this. But if I'm wrong and I get sacked again, I'm sure I'm just going to pack my bags up and leave. So I ended up just folding with the intention of hoping to just play more hands and survive. And luckily, it was just the right decision somehow. I finally made one good decision today, and maybe folding could actually serve me well. You know what would also serve you guys well is that this Rolex here is still up for grabs. Unfortunately for Joshua, who won, we emailed him multiple times and we gave him a month to respond and he never claimed it. So one lucky person's going to win this. And this week, right now, we're hosting meetup games. Myself, all the other ambassadors, and of course the special guest you'll see later in this video. You get a chance to play with all of us when Club WPT Gold is launched right now. I'm live streaming on YouTube. We're playing very friendly stakes up to 1-2 or 2-5 would be the maximum that we'll play. And the first person who's gonna stack me using the code Rampage will win this Rolex. I mean, honestly guys, I haven't won in poker this year. I've lost many pots. I'm bound to get stacked and I can't wait to throw this Rolex in the pot as well. So if you wanna sign up, play along, use the code Rampage on clubwptgold.com and hop into the live streams. We'll have a great time. And I can't wait to see you guys in the online streets here. And good luck to the person who wins the Rolex. Moving along, still with the squid game on, there's a $400 straddle. I limp in with 10-9 in early position. We've got a bunch of players to limp in. So once again, another 6-way limped pot of 10-4 deuce, 2 diamonds. This time with top pair, feeling pretty comfortable about it, but no action is happening here. Action checks through. Then we see a 6 of diamonds, so flush completes, and 10-9 seems fine, but definitely don't really want to bet. So action checks through once again. River comes another 6, and now Schwan to my right throws out $5,000. Pretty large bet into the middle, and as played, I really don't think it's possible to fold top pair here, especially with the squid game on. People are very incentivized to bluff. I close my eyes and make the call. It would be horrible to be wrong, but luckily everyone folds, and I am correct. Scoop a $12,000 pot, finally getting the monkey off of my back. Finally get to win a pot here, and let's start grooving into the session now. All right, it's starting to get comfortable. I faded losing money in the squid game, and here we go. The dynamics on this next hand is freaking nuts. I limp in for $200 with King 7 suited. We get a couple limpers and onto Berkey in the cutoff, raises to 5,000. So here's the crazy thing about the dynamics. Because of the squid game and how hot Berkey's been running, Berkey could win an extra $22,000 just by winning this specific hand. So when action folds to me, I don't know what to do. How incentivized am I to block Berkey from going to win this $22,000? Because I don't really win anything extra on top. But is King 7 suited good enough here versus whatever he could be raising with? I mean, seems like it's a pretty decent marginal strong hand. King is good to have, could be ahead of a lot of the queen highs and jack highs, and could be flipping in some pocket pairs and stuff that could be doing this. But
oh no, Rampage.
I was rooting for you.
All right.
Justifiably not believing that
Not
Berkey.
very good.
That's fine.
Yes.
Live.
Yes.
Diamonds are
Oh my
pretty.
god.
How do you not have it?
That's
This
so
is
live.
insane.
Dude.
oh my god, come on, are you kidding me? I'm playing a $60,000 pot with about 40% equity. Not the spot you really want to be in. And we decided to run it out for 2 boards. So I've got a chance at chopping. First flop is ace high. Oh man. This is truly, truly horrific here. I'm feeling super down, and I'm starting to get up now at this point. I just rage quit the lobby here. Because you know when the vibes are just off here and you're feeling super negative and nothing is going right and you just kind of know you're going to lose? That's me right now. I'm really over this. I don't think this is going to go very well. And I've dusted $60,000 in less than an hour. I don't have my head screwed on at all. So congratulations to Berkey. I'm calling it a day because he's going to scoop the second board. I know I wasn't going to win this one at all, and there goes me. Sayonara to the table. I'm calling it a day. Well, that was a disaster. I mean, losing $60,000 in less than an hour, if that, doesn't feel well at all. And I'm supposed to play tomorrow. I mean, there's supposed to be another stream tomorrow, the same stakes and everything, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about all of this, so we'll just see how it goes tomorrow. Oh my god, guys, I just got a text. Phil Ivey is playing today. I don't think I can say no to this game. So we're getting ready. I'm going to the strip. Ready to gamble. Let's go. I've got $200,000 left that I brought with me to play, and it's time to pony up and play with one of poker's all-time greats. I'm nervous, anxious, I want to throw up a little bit, but this is a must-win spot. I truly cannot afford to lose anymore, so come on! We're going after all the blood today, and it's time to see what I'm made of. Upon sitting at the game, I get notified the Squid Game is back on.
Oh, I love Squid. This is my favorite game of all time. It's perfect.
Let's strap in, because I clearly don't know how to play this game, but with King 10 offsuit in the first hand, I limp in on the button for $200. Berkey and Phil IVEY make the call and check, so first of the night, we've got an opportunity to go up against Berkey and Phil. The flop comes King 5-3 with a flush draw. Berkey checks, and IVEY bets out $500. And with top pair, it seems pretty standard to put in a raise, so I make it $2,000, and surprisingly, both opponents call, which gets really tricky here. I'm not sure what they both could have. It's a limped pot, but we're off to a turn which is the 4 of hearts, so a lot of things complete. Flushes, straights, and when action checks to me, I am not going to put a dime left into the middle. I check this one back. In the river comes the ace of spades. Berkey checks, and now Phil decides to take the initiative and fires out $7,000. Oh man, it's a pretty huge bet, and I'm immediately put into the test here from hand number 1 for a pretty large decision. With Berkey left to act behind me, this makes this spot a little tricky, and of course with Squid Game on, honestly, in my head, it feels like every decision I make is the wrong one. And that's a really awful mindset to be in. Either I call and look foolish, or I fold and look foolish. So really boils it down to, of course, I make the fold and look foolish. Berkey also folded his king as well, so obviously it was a pretty difficult spot to be in with just a king, and Phil looks like a genius, bluffing 2 people off of top pair. And at least I get a front row seat to the legend at work. But man, nice hand to Phil, starting things off in the wrong direction, getting bluffed. Then I pick up pocket 5s from early position. I limp here for $200. I think having a heavy limp strategy is good here with the progressive game on, as it serves like kind of a big ante. Anyways, a couple more limps follow suit. Now Dylan on the button raises to $2,500. Big blind makes the call. I, of course, call to set mine, and another person called as well. So 4 ways to a flop of Queen, Queen, 3, rainbow. Action's going to check to the button, Dylan, who c-bets $3,500. And considering it's a multi-way board, and definitely have a case for calling or raising here, definitely folding is out of the question when action folds to me, and I actually prefer a raise. I think my hand could use a lot of protection, being multi-way, being out of position. You can see how this one is going to play.
Very reasonable line to take. Unfortunately for him, we know that Dylan just has a very strong hand. He's going nowhere.
We're off to see a turn, which is the 4 of diamonds. Brings in 2 diamonds, and overall, pretty safe card for me. I check, though, as I don't think betting accomplishes a whole lot at this point. Dylan bets out $8,000. Pretty small price to pay to continue, although I'm not really loving the situation. Feels like a toss-up, and I guess I'm given a good price to spike a 5 on the river, or hoping I'm still ahead, which is pretty wishful thinking. But I come along and make the call regardless, and we're off to a river now, which comes the ace of clubs. I check one more time, hoping to get the showdown, but Dylan elects for $38,000. Now, guys, let me tell you, a reasonable person would snap fold here, but I'm not quite sure. Dylan is simply only representing that he has trips in this spot, or better somehow, and the ace actually isn't much of a concern to me at all. But on the flip side, I also think my hand has pretty good properties to go and bluff catch here. The only issue is that sometimes I actually lose to some of his bluffs, like higher pocket pairs. But here we are. I gotta make the right decision here, or else the entire session is just going to get screwed over. And the whole reason for playing this game goes down into the dumps.
Wow, he flicks in the call.
Why did that come to that?
Oh man, this is not going as well as I want. A complete disaster, losing this massive pot, dusting off $60,000 in this hand. Feeling all the embarrassment, the pain, the shame, regretting my decisions to come here today. This is not a good spot to be in mentally. So I desperately need some momentum on my side here before I just start spiraling out of control, and no better time to save me. I pick up pocket queens in the cutoff. There's an under the gun open to 600. I 3-bet to 2,000. IVEY makes the call on the small blind, and the under the gun player makes the call as well. So we've got some action here, and we've got the IVEY to hopefully get some of my money back. The flop comes 10-3 deuce. We got over pairs. We've got a good flop to see, and with pocket queens, action checks to me. I fire out 3,200. Praying for some action as Rip does make the call. So going heads up now to the turn, which is a bink queen of clubs. 2 flush draws on the board. We've got top set and a dream. This is the spot I've been hoping for. The only issue is that we do need Rips to have something of himself. Hoping he has a flush draw, hoping he has a combo draw that might want to get it in. Well, we're going to find out as he checks to me. I fire out $7,000 with the intention of going much bigger on the river, but he doesn't have much to hold on to with.
Nice hand, Ethan.
I agree.
Now moving on with the $400 straddle on in this hand. The stakes have been bumped up. We got Dylan limping in, and then the Rip raising to 1,500, and I've got Queen Jack offsuit out of the blinds here, and I'm feeling pretty frisky, clearly. I decided to 3-bet to 6,000, which eliminates some of the limpers out of the field, but Rips does make the call with a dominating hand. Can I ever luck out here? And the flop is Jack 7 deuce. Let's go. What a luck sack I am. Flopping top pair, I decided to check here. I think it's good to do this sometimes with some stronger hands on some good boards. And Rip throws out a bet of 3,000. And now I've got a decision to make, whether I want to raise or call. Maybe if I actually had a hand like King Jack, check raising would make a lot of sense. But as played with my queen kicker, gonna slow play this hand for now, whatever you want to call it, and see what develops. So I make the call here, and the turn is the 8 of clubs. Another tricky card. It completes some straights. Got 2 flush draws out there. I check, and my opponent sadly checks this one back. So we're going to see a free river now, which comes the 9 of diamonds. Oh man, this board could not get scarier and scarier. Flush draw gets there. Straight gets there. Overall, pretty disaster given how strong my hand was on the flop. I check it over to him. Doesn't seem like betting accomplishes much, and he fires out 7,500. If I'm going to be calling $40,000 with just a pair of fives, you know damn well I'm not folding top pair. So flicking a call, and he's got king, queen. I get to win with a pair of jacks, and now winning 2 hands in a row. This is pretty huge. This is the little bit of confidence that I got to have to get momentum on my side.
Nothing like punting off 60K in the first 20 minutes of the stream, but here to battle. Got like maybe half the stream left to go now at this point, and at least we're not buried yet. But lots of time to either win or lose piles of money.
After a pretty long dinner break, we come back looking down at pocket 8. I limp in early position, cut off limps, buttoned limps, and Berkey is in the small blind, raises to 4,000. Then the big blind, Marcus, 3-bets to 11,000. This is action central over here. I'm not sure if this is a Squid Game dynamic or if people just have strong hands, but I'm going to test the waters with another back raise of my own to 20,000.
Oh, Rampage was laying the trap, limping in the hijack with pocket 8s.
As you can see on the graphics, pocket 8's probably not a very good hand because Dylan decides to just go all in.
Dylan just piling it in.
What is going on?
Berkey just snapping it in.
What is going on? Obviously, I'm up against 2 monsters, but this is not what I envisioned at all.
I guess I'm glad I made it 20. What the fuck is going on?
It's very clear that my hand is not ahead, but I try to do the math. Am I even priced in at all? Assuming they have aces and kings, or ace, king, and aces. Someone has aces or kings for sure. Am I priced in here to set mine, to try to see a full run out to commit the last of my stacks? I do the math. It's not right, okay? It's not correct to make the call here and gamble it off, but man, I do have to fold. I kiss my $20,000 goodbye, and it's a massive chaos in the middle for $263,000 pot, pocket kings versus aces. The cards are flipped on their backs. They run it twice, and Berkey wins both runouts as he continues his insane sun run. But I must say, I actually would have hit a set on both boards, and this is why I was thinking of gambling. Because sometimes this actually happens, and of course, the one time I fold and I make a responsible decision, I actually would have won with quite a decent profit here.
That's like the setups I've ever seen.
One hell of a week for Berkey.
All of this blood And all this action leads to this specific hand. There's an undergun straddle, hijack calls, button calls. I call in the small blind with 9 deuce of clubs. There's another trash hand I have to play due to the squid game being on, and the button completes. So we're off to a flop in the limped pot, which comes queen jack 7 2 clubs. We've got the flush draw, and we're first to act. Action checks to the button. Schwan bets out $1,000. Well, with my flush draw, I'm happy to make the call. Big blind makes the call, and then Dylan decides to check raise here to 6,500, which is massive. And when the button makes the call now, there's a lot of money in the middle, and I don't necessarily have a whole lot behind. I've got a flush draw and a dream. I've only committed $1,000 in the middle, but like I said, the squid game dynamic is on. And it seems like I've got to gamble at some point because of this game. It jacks up the variance, and either I get to spike to break even, or I lose my $100,000 buy-in, and I close my eyes.
Rampage ripping it in.
My pulse is at an all-time high, knowing that my session right now could just be over. And action's back onto Schwan, and she doesn't snap call, which means she might have a suspect hand, and maybe a weak enough hand we can get her to fold. But
Nice.
Sure.
Schwan calls it off. 90K pot.
the hands get tabled, and my flush draw is not looking good. I've got my flush draw versus her top pair, and she is a 2-to-1 favorite. My entire $100,000 buy-in is officially at risk. Do I go home broke, or can I survive and hit? We've got to find some clubs here, and we're off to 2 runouts.
Can't imagine you won't have something to say about that.
Chop it up. I just want the token.
You got the button.
5 of clubs. We don't need him to go to blackjack right now.
8. GG.
Alright.
Good luck.
I think that's it for Rampage.
Goodbye to my $100,000 buy-in. What started as a very ambitious and hopeful day, playing with Phil Ivey, playing high stakes, crawling out of the hole that I was in, has turned to complete ruin as I lose my whole $100,000 buy-in today on top of the $60,000 I lost the day before.
Always nice to lose 160K in maybe 4 hours. So all the work I made playing smaller stakes and being responsible leads to dusting it all off. I had bad hands all the time. Feels like I could never really win.
I don't know, that's how I feel.
Thanks for watching, and Happy New Year. Okay, I wanted to end the video on a more maybe real human level. I got emotional on the ride home, and wanted to show it because I feel like it's real, and the outro that you saw before was just like a fake brush off thing where I'm upset at what happened and numb to it, but certainly not numb to it. I've had a rocky year, to say the least, if you've been following along, and it's really frustrating because I felt like for the past couple months I've been pretty responsible. I have toned down the stakes for the betterment of myself and my bankroll and trying to rebuild, and I won a decent chunk of it back, to be honest, and then in 4 hours it's poof, gone. And what hurts even more is that I'll show some screenshots. I was only stuck 100,000. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel to get out of the hole for cash games this year, and then now I lose in this video where I lose 160, and now there's just no hope at all of ever climbing out of the hole for the end of this year. I was down 108,000, and then when I lose 160, like I did in this video, I'm down 268, and there's just no way I get out of it. It's December 11th. You're watching this video right now, so I just lost hope of climbing out of the hole, climbing out of like the mistakes I made earlier in the year when I lost like 500K that first session to start off the year. That kind of set everything off the rails. It's a very emotional game, especially when I'm playing with a large amount of money. a massive amount of money, and the game was playing really big, and because of the Squid Game, the stupid progressive Squid Game jacks the variance up and jacks the gambling up, so kind of felt like I'm forced to go with a lot of hands and play a lot of hands, and it didn't work out. So very frustrated, and we'll see how I do in the next one. Hopefully there's more to come. Hopefully my career in poker is not done just yet, but things aren't looking good.